I've explained a 2016 action thriller film titled Mechanic. Spoilers ahead, watch out, and enjoy the recap. A retired assassin named Bishop now lives his quiet life under a new identity in Brazil following his most lethal operation in America. In search of new adventures and fresh air, Bishop takes a ride across Rio de Janeiro after arming his boat with explosives. That evening, he gets approached by a woman at the restaurant who knows his specialties and his true identity. She makes him an offer on behalf of the principal she represents. He wants 3 men killed, on the condition that each death must appear to be an accident. Bishop learns that the majority of the men encircling the place came to kill him after the woman threatened to end his demise. To show that he has rejected her offer, Bishop hastily pulls out his phone and snaps her. Then he strongly pushes the table to knock her to the ground before she reaches her gun. A full-blown fight erupts in the restaurant as a result, and Bishop decides to challenge them physically and throws everything around him at them like a bogeyman. But the thugs continue to pile up and round up the area. To elude them, Bishop ascends to the roof of the hydro cabin. When the woman opens fire and erratically shoots in the roof of the ropeway transportation targeting him, Bishop leaps off the cabin, falls on a man-lifting kite for the tourist, and escapes. Bishop returns to his place after a stressful day, but he is astonished to discover that lummoxes have already encircled and searched his boat. He then remotely detonates the explosives, and everyone is killed instantly. His cover has been compromised, so Bishop makes a pit stop in Thailand to meet an old friend named May. She owns a tiny beachfront resort for tourists. May goes on to offer Bishop his old cottage as a place to rest. Since no one has used it in several months since he left, he then takes out his secret box and retrieves his advanced gadgets and weaponry. Bishop runs a background check on the woman with whom he took the photo in Brazil. He comes to understand that the woman was sent by his longtime adversary, Crane. That afternoon, Bishop saw a woman named Gina ambling down to the beach while asking for directions. When she approached May and asked for the first aid kit, May noticed bruises on her hand. However, she turned down May's additional support because she could take care of herself. When the sun goes down, Bishop and May hear weeping and screaming voices on the boat in the water. May reminds him that a lot of people get killed on beaches in such scenarios and must be rescued. Bishop goes at speed towards the boat. He discovers the intoxicated guy assaulting Gina and her cries for help. So he then quickly disarms the guy and knocks him down. The man dies instantly after smashing his head on the metal. He saves her and instructs May to get her to the coast. Bishop, to his surprise, discovers a gun and Gina's American passport. And in addition, she had a photo of him on her cell phone. Given that a swarm of mafia gangs are pursuing Bishop with the intent of killing him, he swiftly goes back to the coast with a lot of unanswered questions. Bishop points the gun at Gina and inquires about the reason she had his photograph on her phone. But she chose to disarm him. It was effortless for Bishop to overpower her and regain his weapon. Gina reveals to him that all of the beatings and screams were staged by an arms dealer named Crane. To get closer to him, she had to portray herself as a victim, but her friend went too far by beating her. Crane, she claims, coerced her because he took a priceless thing from her. Bishop persuades her that if she wants to be free and stop worrying about Crane, she has to work with him so that he can infiltrate Crane's security and take him out. Bishop adds that Crane will kill her regardless of her refusal. Separately, in his cottage alone, Bishop discovered on the internet that Gina had been part of the American military effort in Afghanistan but had left to do humanitarian aid in Cambodia. That afternoon, Bishop wants to know Crane's leverage over Gina since he can't afford future surprises. Bishop overhears Gina say that she runs a refuge in Cambodia for victims of human trafficking. However, one of her employees was kidnapped a few weeks ago, and her lifeless body was later thrown off a vehicle at her front door. Crane's men intended to set an example for her and show her how it would appear to everyone at the shelter if she did not follow their orders. Gina states that she didn't have much of a choice, she had to follow Crane's orders in order to save the kids and her shelter. Meanwhile, Bishop notices a boat in the ocean filled with Crane's men. They're monitoring and observing his movements. Then Bishop came up with a plan to hold Gina's hands to fool them into thinking their preparations were proceeding as planned. To further deceive them, Bishop and Gina go on to participate in Thai traditional dances for married couples. Gina arrives that night to thank and apologize to Bishop for dragging him into this messy situation. He says he understands all about her predicament because he too was orphaned, but he was sold to an East End gangster who specialized in training child soldiers. Crane was also there, he says. Luckily, Bishop escaped, but Crane didn't, so he was punished and blamed for the Bishop's escape. Now Crane wants Bishop to pay him back. Gina and Bishop kissed and slept together. He goes on to gift her with his father's watch when he wakes up. That's the only memory he has of the old man. That afternoon, Crane's men collaborated with police to encircle him and Gina. As Bishop tries to defend himself from the goons, Gina is abducted at that precise moment. This makes him surrender and accept meeting the boss. Crane contracts Bishop to do 3 kills in exchange for his girlfriend's freedom. Conditional, they must appear like accidents so that their family members will not avenge their deaths. First on the list is Krill, the highest-ranking arms dealer in Africa. He's a mass murderer and warlord. He's imprisoned in a high-security prison in Malaysia. His imprisonment is what keeps him secure. Crane says it's impossible for his enemies to get him since he surrounds himself with loyal bodyguards. Getting closer to him will be his most challenging task. He goes on to give him the tablet, which he has to swallow after the kill to rescue him. After a while in Malaysia, Bishop makes a case study about the prison, which is 7 miles out to sea, set atop cliffs more than 100 meters high, and surrounded by shark-infested waters. It is basically impossible to get in and nobody has ever gotten out, which can make it even more difficult to get closer to Krill. The only thing on his mind is how to get into prison. He buys the toad venom and some little explosives at the grocery store. Then he reinvents them to look like chewing gum and inserts the tiny explosives into cigarette sticks. Bishop has to disguise himself as a wanted Malaysian criminal. He gets arrested by police officers on the streets the next morning after mimicking Malaysia's most wanted sex predator. Because it appears to be like normal cigarettes and chewing gum, the prison officer allows him to enter with his substances. The next day, inside the prison, Bishop uncovers a plot among the prisoners who want to exact revenge on Krill. He disarms one of them and kills the guy instantly to save Krill. This touches Krill's heart, and he invites Bishop to a one-on-one dinner with him to express his appreciation. He doesn't need to worry about bodyguards since they're not invited. Bishop accepted the invitation and joined him inside the shelter. Krill discusses his desires to rule Africa and the need for more guys with his skills like him. However, Bishop strangled him and knocked him out with the Grove. The security personnel become suspicious after hearing plates fall within the shelter and want to investigate what is going on inside. He promptly mixed the venom into his food and forced him to consume it to make it appear like he died of food choking. He then positioned him in the prayer posture and discouraged security guards from disturbing a man talking to his God. Bishop swiftly unfolds his tiny explosive device from the cigarette and puts it into the wall to explode and create a hole. He swallows the tablet and leaps from the cliff into the ocean before officers apprehend him. Bishop gets to the fishing boat and demands to make a video call to his girlfriend to confirm her safety. Gina informs him that Crane has threatened to kill her. Since he has set a 36-hour deadline to eliminate Adrian Cook as the next victim, Adrian lives in Australia in the heart of downtown Sydney, atop a 58-story high-rise, in the penthouse suite. He made his fortune from mining and minerals, but only a few people know his little-known secret as a human trafficker specializing in underage sex workers. He has plenty of manpower protecting him. But that's the least of it. First, Cook's paranoia is only trumped by his ego. His cantilever pool, the walls and floors are all concrete, 3 feet thick. Every single door is made of 6 8-inch pieces of nickel chromium steel. That's like 12 armor plates. Not forgetting the biometric sensors and retina readers at the access points, which are impossible to hack. It's a fortress in the sky. Bishop first pretended to be a renter seeking a flat. He dials Blocker's phone number solely to divert her attention, then snaps the key in order to duplicate it. Bishop invents a device that uses strong substances to melt the glasses into tiny bits. The next morning, Bishop pretended to be a member of the maintenance crew and entered the apartments, where he used the duplicated key to gain access to the room next to Adrian's pool without being discovered. He then uses magnets to scale the building, drills a small hole, and places his developed device beneath Adrian's swimming pool. The moment Adrian notices that his security has been breached, he screams for security guards and attempts to exit the water, but it's too late. The glass is already broken. Bishop unties himself and returns to his apartment swimmingly, as Adrian falls to his death. Crane receives the news about Adrian's death on television due to the penthouse fall, effectively ruling out foul play. He directs that Bishop receive his video call. Gina points the camera at the hull number so Bishop can rescue her. When Bishop answered the call, she pretended to show him his broken watch while pointing to the hull number. After discovering where she is being held, Bishop uses the helicopter to dive into the sea with an electric motor and a breather machine. He starts to physically take out Crane's men the moment he makes his presence known. The gunfight begins when the situation spirals out of control while he is trying to rescue his girlfriend. But his efforts are fruitless since he is electrocuted by Crane's men and presented to the boss. Crane warns him that if he pulls another stunt like that, he will never see his girlfriend again. Crane gives him a second chance to redeem himself by making the third kill. Bishop beats everyone and escapes by swimming. Crane sends him the details about the third target, Max Adams, a wealthy American arms dealer. He stays in Bulgaria, where he spent a fortune restoring a truly vulgar communist memorial and putting in the most comprehensive security system. But the interesting part of this facility is that Adam stocked a lot of U-boats with intercontinental ballistic missiles. No one gets in or out. Bishop has realized that Crane is using him to eliminate his arms dealer's competitors. So he has to plan. He checks the emergency system for Adam's compound. Given that only helicopters are permitted to land on his facility, he shoots the security guard and creates an emergency situation, causing the helicopter to scramble straight to Adam's facility. He eludes them and enters the facility. He activates his jamming device, which disables the cameras and triggers siren alarms. This causes panic across the facility. Security guards rush Adam to the state-of-the-art panic room. Bishop disables the elevator system by detonating an explosive on it, causing Adam and his men to delay. When Adam enters his safe room, Bishop is already waiting for him inside. Bishop does not shoot but instead gives him a deal in exchange for his life. He must collaborate with him in order to bring Crane down. Crane will send his soldiers to look for nuclear weapons if Adam creates a corpse of himself. Meanwhile, Adam goes underground. The planted bomb detonates. Bishop has been waiting for him beneath the water with the oxygen cylinders, transporting him to the island. Crane receives the news on television about Adam's death. At that moment, Bishop calls him to inform him that he has finished his third kill and should let his girlfriend go unconditionally. But Crane isn't stupid. He insists on seeing Adam's body before releasing Gina from captivity. Then Bishop persuades him that Adam's body can only be found in an underwater enclosure. As soon as Bishop quits the phone, Crane commands his men to fetch Adam's body from the submarine pen. And in addition, they must not forget to assassinate Bishop as well. Hastily, Bishop returns to the submarine pen and stages a gun to be operated automatically. That instant, Crane's goons fall into Bishop's trap and are eliminated one by one as soon as they arrive. Bishop uses his engine to swiftly swim back towards Crane's yacht. The instant he surfaces, he engages in a physical confrontation and attacks Crane's men like a wounded tiger. Crane can't take any more humiliation. So he orders his men to drag Gina into the boat. Gina tries to defend herself, but her rudimentary skills are insufficient to prevent the goon from shooting her in the stomach and dumping her into the jacuzzi water. When Bishop discovered it, a shootout erupted as a result. Crane brings Gina into the room and sets the bomb countdown to 3 minutes. He then instructs his pilot to start the aircraft so that they can flee. Bishop finally reaches Gina inside the boat, only to discover that the bomb is about to detonate, so he locks her in a diving pod and throws her into the water. Bishop is resentful and cannot allow Crane to flee, so they exchange gunfire, but because everyone has run out of ammunition, they must resort to physical combat. Crane attempts to pound him with a chain. Bishop, on the other hand, is faster. He snatches the chain from Crane and binds him to the boat. Then he dashes into the boat just as the bomb goes off. Gina's pot surfaces in the sea and witness everything. Because of the blast sound and smoke, the fire squad and paramedics were able to locate and rescue her, but regrettably, Gina learns that no one survived the boat. Adams is intrigued by this small boat component known as the diving bell, and he notices the security camera at the landing site. Gina returned to Cambodia a few weeks later and wrote May a note, thanking her for the water filters. To Gina's surprise, Bishop pays a visit to her in Cambodia, and she comes to the realization that he did not perish in the boat blast in Hungary. Adam decides to review the surveillance camera. Adam's optimism was realized when he discovered Bishop hidden behind the diving bell, which allows divers to breathe underwater. To avoid being pursued by other mafias, he chooses to erase the proof. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to watch more of my videos. Have a good day.